Hello friends and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Sunny Days with Sam. I hope everybody has been doing good. I just want to say thank you guys so much for all of the love that you guys have been giving me on my past few tutorials. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from you and I super appreciate it. So today we're doing something kind of fun. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and be like, how did you start crocheting? Like, where did you start? How did you hold the hook? Like a bunch of simple beginner questions. So I wanted to make a tutorial about how to start crocheting. So some beginner crochet stuff, yarn, obviously. Right now I'm using Red Heart acrylic yarn. I'm using a 6.5mm hook. I think it's like a J hook if you guys go by the letters. Get your scissors, and one helpful tip is this yarn holder that my husband got me for Christmas. I recommend everybody that is starting out crocheting gets one. If you are already an advanced crocheter, still get one. It is so handy. So today I'm going to teach you 3 different stitches. I'm going to first show you how to hold your hook. There's a million different ways to do it. As you kind of start to see how we begin to crochet, you're going to kind of figure out your own way of what's most comfortable for you to hold the hook, crochet, hold the yarn, all of that. So we're going to just start by showing you how I personally hold it. I'm going to show you how to do a chain stitch, and then I'm going to show you how to single crochet. I'm going to show you how to double crochet, and then we're going to finish off with some granny clusters. If you don't follow me online, then you don't know that I love granny clusters, but if you do follow me online or you do know me in person, you know I love granny clusters. So if you don't know already, if you subscribe to my channel and you send me a screenshot to any of my platforms, I will send you a 50% off discount code that you can use on my website for anything forever and always. Now let's get started. So like I said, we're going to start with any type of yarn. You can use cotton, acrylic, wool. I usually work with acrylic and cotton yarns, but it's totally up to your preference. Today we're going to be using a 6.5mm hook. Here is how my yarn holder works. It's super convenient because the yarn doesn't get stuck. It doesn't get twisted around anything. It just spins. I've also heard that paper towel holders work. I haven't used that tip, but I already have this yarn holder, So creating your first stitch is what I call it, but you're making a circle, a little loop. I always make it around my pinky. I tie it tight. I double knot it. The size can kind of change based on the hook size that you're going to use. Like if I'm using a bigger hook, my first loop is going to be bigger, but we're just using a 6.5mm hook. So you're going to insert your hook in there. I'm going to show you how to hold it. I always put my thumb on the yarn. I wrap the yarn around my pointer finger, and then I hold the hook kind of like I would hold a pencil. The first step for chaining is super simple. You're just going to wrap that yarn over, and you're going to twist your hook and pull through that loop. You're going to continue the motion that you see on the screen, and we're going to chain for let's say 10 chains. There you can see the first few chain stitches. Here I am showing you how to hold it again. And as you work your chain, you're going to continue to move where you're pinching your thumb and your pointer finger. You're going to continue to move that up the chain. Otherwise, it gets a little difficult to hold. Here is a chain of 10. I'm going to show you how to flip your work also, and then we're going to go back into this chain, make single crochets. Into that row of single crochets, we're going to make double crochets, and then we're going to move into your clusters. So some helpful crochet language whenever you're starting out. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Now we're going to flip our work, and we're going to slip stitch into that chain stitch. You're going to go into the top chain. You're going to slip stitch into it, single crochet. You're going to yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to pull through again. And that is how you make one single crochet. Slip stitch into that first top loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. You're going to continue that till you get the end of the chain. If you wanted to make a full granny square, you would just continue that pattern and flip your work at the end of every row. But we're going to show you how to do a few different beginner crochet stitches today. Again, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can send me a screenshot and I'm going to send you a 50% off discount code that you can use on my website. On my website, you can find a variety of patterns. I have links to all of my tutorials. You can find all of my social media, and you can also find ready to ship items. I also do made to order items. My name is Sam, and I'm from State College, Pennsylvania. I work full-time as a recreation therapist here at a local memory care community here in town. I live about 2 minutes from my job. It's great. I have my husband here. We have 2 dogs, May and Zoe, and we have a cat named Biggie. So my crochet business is just my part-time gig, something that I started experimenting with whenever I got out of college. I started out with macrame artwork, macrame jewelry. It's still something that I'm really passionate about, but I haven't done it in a very long time. I eventually moved into crochet. So that's kind of where my business has started. This is where my business is now. I'm happy to be teaching people how to crochet because it's something that's so near and dear to my heart. So here we are finishing up that first row of single crochets. After this row, I'm going to show you guys how to double crochet, and then I'm going to show you guys how to make your granny clusters. And granny clusters are just 3 double crochet put into 1 stitch from the previous row, but we'll get back to that whenever we get to that part. So now we're going to start our double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, slip stitch under that first loop. You're going to pull through. You're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Slip stitch, yarn over, pull through, pull through, pull through. And you're wrapping your yarn around that hook every single time. So slip under, yarn over, pull through, pull through, pull through. Now we're going to do an entire row of double crochets, so you're welcome to speed it up if you want to move on to the granny clusters. You can slow it down if you need to see how I'm doing it. There's a fast forward rewind button. I'm going to timestamp in the description of this video where I start all of the different rows with different stitches. So now I'm just going to name off some of my favorite crochet artists because I like to shout out all the small business friends and crochet artists in general that have inspired me over the years. The first crocheter that I fell in love with was Tide and Sunshine. Her name's Amanda. She is so talented. I get a sunflower set from her. It's like a matching purse with a matching top, and I was in love with it. I was like, I have to figure out how to crochet. Whenever I was in like 6th grade, I was in a knitting club and I liked the whole idea of knitting, but I could never finish my projects. Like I never took the time to learn. And then by the time that I wanted to learn, I was way past 6th grade. And then I just gave up the hobby altogether. So I had all the materials to crochet. I just had to go get crochet hooks. But honestly, since I've picked up the habit of crocheting and learning to work with fibers again, I'm obsessed. So now moving into the granny clusters. There's multiple ways that you can do this. So I always do this way. I make my first cluster by chaining 3. That's going to stand as that first double crochet in your 3 double crochet cluster. So you chain 3, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, but they all go into the same stitch. And then in between each cluster, especially for granny squares, I chain 1. So you do 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet. They're all going into 1 stitch from the previous row though. You see that? And then you're going to chain 1. Now some helpful hints. Whenever I'm working on a hexagon cardigan between my clusters, I do not chain 1. But whenever I'm doing a granny square so that the square doesn't fold up on itself, I always chain 1 in between each cluster. And also remember that that first chain 3 stands as your first double crochet, as if you were making just a normal granny cluster. I assume that you can just go right into it and you can do 3 double crochets right off the bat and form that cluster. But I always do the chain 3. It's just the way that I've learned. Helps me keep track of where that first cluster begins, especially whenever I'm making a hexagon cardigan. Another helpful hint whenever I do my clusters is I always skip 1 or 2. And whenever I say that, I mean I'm skipping 1 or 2 stitches from the previous row. That kind of helps you space out your clusters if you're working off of a block like we are right now. Usually if you're working with a granny square or a hexagon cardigan, you're just inserting the granny cluster into the chain space from the previous row. And I know that can all sound confusing, but if you're interested in looking at furthering your crochet experience, I have 2 beginner tutorials. One is for a granny square and the other is for a hexagon. And with those 2 patterns, you can continue on past the amount of rows that I do and you can form your garments. So whenever I make a granny square sweater, I literally just make 2 granny squares. I sew them together. I add the arms and whatever else. And here is our finished splotch. You now can do single crochets, double crochets, and form granny clusters. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. My crochet along is every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 8 a.m. EST, and stay tuned for more beginner tutorials. Follow me on socials for some sneak peeks.